Canadian baby first without gender designation on health card. An 8-month-old Canadian baby has been issued with a health card without a gender marker in what could be the first case in the world. Parent Corey Dotty, a non-binary transgender person who identifies as neither male nor female, aims to allow the child to discover their own gender. The health card has been issued with a U in the space for sex, which could be for undetermined or unassigned. Corey Dotty is fighting to omit the gender from the birth certificate. The parent gave birth to Cyril Atlee in November at a friend's home in British Columbia. Corey Dotty, who prefers to use the pronoun they, argues that a visual inspection at birth is unable to determine what gender that person will have or identify with later in life. Yeah, but it's a pretty reliable way to determine the biological sex of a baby, and after all it is sex and not gender listed on the health card. Corey Dotty, a community educator who is part of the Gender Free ID Coalition, said that those who feel different to the gender designation assigned at birth face several problems later in life trying to change the documents. Yeah, but nobody is assigned a gender at birth. The doctor or midwife will make an observation about a baby's biological sex based on what's dangling or not dangling between its legs. That's it. When I was born, doctors looked at my genitals and made assumptions about who I would be. No, they didn't. They merely noted the type of genitals that you had. They didn't say a thing about who you would be. You be whoever the fuck you want to be. And those assignments followed me and followed my identification throughout my life, Corey Dotty said. Those assumptions were incorrect, and I ended up having to do a lot of adjustments since then. It was an observation, not an assumption. An assumption would be me saying there's a fucking good chance your health card had an F after sex. And that's a fairly solid assumption, as evidenced by the fact that you just gave birth to a baby. In the case of Cyril Atlee, the parent said that the authorities have refused to issue the birth certificate without a gender designation, and so the parent has applied for a judicial review of the case. The family's lawyer, Barbara Findlay, who chooses to spell her name without capital letters, edgy as fuck, told Global News, the assignment of sex in this culture is done when a medical person lifts up the legs and looks at the baby's genitals. But we know that the baby's own gender identity will not develop for some years until after they're born. Okay, but what the fuck does that have to do with the baby's sex? Canadian media reported that the baby's health card could be the first in the world not to have a gender designation. Well, I'd love to hear what the YouTube gender hippies have to say about this.
Using sperm.
You know, the ones that have been arguing black and blue for the last couple of years that gender and sex have nothing to do with each other? Anyway, I'll see you later.
Recession, session. Give me better times, give me better times. Recession, session. Give me better times, better times. Recession, session. Give me better times, give me better times. Recession, session.
On a more serious note, our good mate Brian Martinez, otherwise known as Doge from Honey Badger Radio, has been diagnosed with cancer. Here's Alison with more.
Brian has been diagnosed with testicular cancer. There's really no way to say it delicately, so there it is. On Friday, last week, he went into the hospital due to a swollen testicle. Scans revealed a number of additional masses in his pelvis and right lung. This week, he went into surgery to have his swollen testicle removed. He's recovering now, and we will be learning more about his specific diagnosis in 2 weeks. Depending on his lab results, he will either be undergoing surgery or chemotherapy treatment. If Karen is the face, and Mike is the wit, and Hannah our ear on the ground and our nose for news, Jonathan the bones, Max the pulse, and I'm the brain of HBR, some might say the butthole of Honey Badger Radio, then Brian is the heart. As Brian has supported me and helped me and Honey Badger Radio get this far, I want to support him. Brian has already said he wants to continue to do his work at Honey Badger Radio, but I know from experience that chemotherapy is an exhausting process. Brian will need the flexibility to focus on recovery and won't be able to do the same amount of work to keep Honey Badger Radio running. Unfortunately, that puts us in a bind as Honey Badger Radio isn't large and flush enough to offer paid leave. I'm asking you to help me help support Brian by helping us raise the funds to offer him an extended paid medical leave. Please go here to help Brian fight for his health and to come back. www.feedthebadger.com/project/help the badgers help Brian.